Welcome to another edition of Cooper's Cogitations. I'd like to talk about schools today, beginning with the Bible. In Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 7, it says, "And thou shalt teach them," that's the theology of the day, the law of Moses, the laws, "diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thy house, when thou walkest in the way, when thou liest down, and when thou risest up." This is home education. God wants us to teach our children. I always wanted to home teach my children. I looked for a long time for the right woman. God told me who I should marry. I had to find her. When I found her, I wanted to marry her. When we had children, I never, ever wanted to turn my children over to strangers whom I have not vetted, whom I don't know, to teach my children in their most vulnerable, teachable age. That just did not make sense to me. That was contrary to everything I believed. Now, when you teach them, what are you teaching them? Well, first of all, you teach them theology. You teach them academics, read, write, and spell. Okay? You teach them theology. You teach them math, science, English, history, government. You teach them with you. But he says you also teach them with you when you go out and do things. Oh, so when I go out and change the tire on my car, I show my children how to change tires on the car. I show them how to change the oil. I show them how to change the brakes. When we're in the house, my wife shows them how to keep the house clean. It shows them how to cook. I show them how to cook. We showed them how to pick up after themselves. You open it, close it. You pick it up, put it down. You borrow it, you return it. Basics. We teach them. Your children, your siblings are your best friends. If you can't play with them, you're not playing with anyone else. And you take them camping and you take them hiking. That's what you do. You show them the world. You let them explore themselves. But you teach them the gospel. You teach them how to be an adult. These children look at the parents and they say, consciously or subconsciously, I'm doing the same thing my parents do. They're an adult. I am an adult. I had 12-year-old driving Kubutas, digging huge holes. I had a 12-year-old, might have been younger, but 12-year-old buy his first 22. Go out, shoot a couple of cottontail rabbits for Thanksgiving one year. Brought them in, we skinned them, cleaned them, began cooking them up. There were about 4 of us there. Oh, these are so good. Oh, the family's going to love it. Oh, these are delicious. We ate them all. You teach them how to be an adult. You take them with you. You apply the gospel. Now, we don't hunt because God places more restrictions on wild animals than he does on domesticated animals. These animals are intelligent creatures. They can speak. We just don't know their language. You have an interface. You teach them life. We teach them hiking and camping. Had a daughter when she grew up. She became a professional trail guide for 3 years. That's what you do. We let them explore themselves. Have a daughter who liked to draw, paint, art. She came to us when she was in high school age, and she said, I want to go to high school to learn how to draw and be an artist. We said, set yourself up and go. See, we give them the opportunity to explore. and give them the initiative to go out and do for themselves, to be responsible, take initiative. So she did. She went to school, came home after 2 months. Why are you home? My art teacher says I know more about art than she does. She sold thousands, tens of thousands, I don't know how much art. She sold a bunch. People still want our artwork. So you let them explore themselves. I could continue with that. I had 4 or 5 children buy their first car at 16. I had a son buy his first house at 20. You teach them. This is what we had in America. The father of American education was a guy named Noah Webster. Hardcore Christian, spoke 26 languages, wrote the 1828 American Dictionary of the English Language, which I recommend to everyone to purchase. That's what he created because they were trying to change the language, the meaning of words, to change the Constitution. Now, the U.S. Constitution is founded on Christianity. U.S. Constitution produced the most literate, the most Christian, the most moral, the most free, the most prosperous, the most generous nation in the world. I have friends who are doctors without borders, dentists without borders, and family who would go around the world helping people. We send our money around the world helping people. We've got to be careful of the organizations. Says nothing about schools or education. We'd have to have 2 socialists, Orrin Hatch from Utah and Jimmy Carter, who forced that on us, the Department of Education. Communism has stolen entire countries, enslaved entire nations, and murdered, democide hundreds of millions of its own citizens. What did the communists say? I'll read it to you from my copy. Can you see that? Can you read Communist Manifesto? Plank 10, free education for all children in public schools. What? So the best nation says we don't care about school and learning, you figure it out. And the worst one, the murderous one, says everybody has to go to school. Why would the worst say you have to go to school? Well, I go to page 87 in my Communist Manifesto that's falling apart. I've used it so much over the years. And this is what it says: abolition of the family. Even the most radical flare up at this infamous proposal of the communists. So I asked my students, because I taught this in class in the government monopoly, compulsory attending, tax consuming, psychologically damaging, family destroying entities called schools by some. I asked my students, why would anyone want to destroy the family? This is back in about 92. And one of my students, a little skinny kid, says, to better control the individual. Well, we've managed to destroy the Black family, the government has. When I grew up, 80% of the Black students, Black children had 2 parents in the home. They gave in a welfare. And next thing you know, 80% of the Black children don't have 2 parents in the home. Many of them don't have any parents in the home. They destroyed it. They destroyed the family. Why? To better control the individual. That's powerful, and that's true. How are they going to destroy the family? Well, let's look at page 89 in my Communist Manifesto. But you will say we destroy the most hallowed of relations, the family, when we replace home education by social. People never said, Hooper, what about their academics? They never said that. They always said, oh, what about their social? Well, quite frankly, I don't want my children hanging around druggers, whores, whoremongers. profane people, pornography. I don't want them to do that. Nowadays, it's, well, what are you this morning? Boy or girl? Do you know? Do you care? You a cat? The schools are just corrupt. And people continue to put their children in. They always say, oh, not my school. John Taylor Gatto, dumbing this down. Yeah, it is your school. Cooper's cogitation. We'll talk more about schools. Thank you.